The best thing that can happen to Sacramento, make it a modern city to have all the old buildings torn down.
Well, I think it's a good idea that they're tearing most of them down, although it would be nice to leave some of them up, more the historical ones.
Yes, I do believe the historical buildings in the West End Sacramento should be preserved for the posterity of our children so that they will know the early history of California, which is a romantic state.
In the decades following World War II, redevelopment changed the face of cities all across America. During that time, Sacramento underwent an especially dramatic transformation. A large portion of the central city known as the West End was widely considered to be among the largest slums in the western United States. Others saw it differently, as a hardscrabble and gritty community with a diverse mix of businesses and residents. In the end, more than 200 blocks of the city's urban core were slated for redevelopment. During the 1950s and 60s, hundreds of structures were demolished, thousands of citizens were uprooted, and millions of federal dollars poured into Sacramento, all earmarked for redevelopment.
Sacramento Redevelopment Agency was created by the City Council of Sacramento in December of 1950. It was developed and created by that council for the purpose of taking advantage of federal laws and appropriations, enabling cities who so desired to clear slums and to redevelop areas that were depressed economically and socially. The present executive director, a well-trained man, is Mr. Jerome Lipp.
Redevelopment entails to us more than the mere clearance and the replacement of old, depreciated buildings with new structures. By effective planning, making all of these investments an integral part of an overall comprehensive development, we are going to have a much finer Sacramento and capital city.
On January 29, 1957, the symbolic beginning of redevelopment in Sacramento's West End commenced. California Governor Goodwin Knight controlled the crane as a two-story Victorian at 526 Capitol Avenue came down, and the massive Capitol Mall project was underway.
Financing of the Capitol Mall project represents an $11 million investment. We will recover from the sale of cleared land about $5 million, leaving us then with a deficit of $6 million. Two-thirds of the $6 million, or $4 million, the federal government pays for with an outright grant to this agency. The balance of $2 million, or the local one-third, this agency itself pays for by issuing its own bond issue. And this bond issue is secured only by the increase in tax revenue that will flow from this project area when the new buildings are in place.
With redevelopment of the West End and the Capitol Mall project well underway, so too was the displacement and relocation of residents and businesses that stretched from the Sacramento River all the way to the state capitol.
I don't want to move, you know. I moved already one time here. I don't want to move.
I'm glad that they're tearing down the buildings and making a better place. And no slums should be here in America. It all should be a great America. And I don't want nobody to be laying out in the streets.
I am for it and against it. I'm against it, of course, because there's so many people, they lost their business, been here for so many years. And I'm for it for the benefit of the city of Sacramento.
Some workers in the West End did not lose their businesses and benefited greatly from redevelopment.
A lot of the buildings should be torn down and build new buildings. And I think it's okay myself. It's helped my business already considerably. In time, it takes time to tear all buildings down, get them built up. Takes about a matter of time. I think it's going to come out to be a really nice thing.
Redevelopment is a great thing, but we still think that the development should start at 2nd Street and Front Street and come toward us, toward 8th Street. But we do think that in the very short time that we will see some development, and we're glad that we're staying down where we were all raised in pharmacy, and hope to see that the redevelopment has a big asset to Sacramento.
In addition to the Sacramento Redevelopment Agency, many other state and local entities played major roles in deciding how to reshape the city, including the California Division of Highways.
Possible conception of the design of one of the alternates on the easterly side is shown on these sketches, showing the east-west freeway crossing the Sacramento River and the west side freeway coming up across Capitol Avenue, on up across I Street and across the I Street Bridge and on over to Woodland. As you will notice in the drawing, this is the Crocker Art Gallery. This would be the connection to N Street. This is Capitol Avenue. This is a connection to L Street. It shows the possibilities of developing along the Embarcadero next to the river there. We could have a green strip along there, and this has all been discussed with the Division of Beaches and Parks, who are very interested in this project. Also, the conception that's shown here is an elevated structure, be about 18 to 20 feet above the normal ground line, to provide circulation so that the streets don't have to be closed.
How would that affect the city's landmarks?
But we're working with the Sacramento Landmarks Commission and the Historical Society and doing everything we possibly can to position this alternate in such a manner that we can save as many of those historic buildings as possible.
Preserving Sacramento's oldest structures was also a big priority during redevelopment.
John, the Historic Landmarks Commission has rather ambitious plans. Where do they expect to get the money to finance the project?
Well, Stan, getting money for anything of this sort is always a great big problem. Possibilities are through the medium of the California Division of Beaches and Parks, possibly some legislative action, and that has been suggested. Also, there is a possibility of getting some money from the city, from the county, and it's even been suggested that a historical area zone be put into force at the proper timing. That in itself could raise some money.
The historic landmarks in its rebuilding conceivably might conflict with redevelopment and freeway plans, or not.
Well, that's true. There could be, and there very possibly will be, an overlapping. But it seems to many people in Sacramento that there is plenty of room for all of these things in the city of Sacramento, for the freeways and for the historic landmarks, and the historic museum in the west end of the city of Sacramento, and certainly for redevelopment, that is the expansion of the redevelopment agency.
I don't believe that we should build a freeway inside east of the river in the downtown district through all the historical monuments we have there to preserve. The land in through there is too precious to be destroyed by a freeway winding its way along the river and through the city. There's lots of room for it on the west side of the river, where it wouldn't affect that precious land that we have on this side for all our things that we need so much, like building more apartments, more historical buildings, and more hotels and so forth. On the other side of the river, the land is cheaper, and the freeway, with all its smog and dust and dirt, would be more adequate or better for the public there.
Right. Isn't it conceivable that the freeways could be held up until the study is completed?
Well, conceivably, yes, but it's one of the early conclusions we're going to ask the consultant is to determine freeway routes so that we won't be in a position of holding up the state.
Well, if freeways are held up, doesn't this mean that redevelopment might suffer some delay also?
Well, we don't think it'll be that long, and the amount of activity in the redevelopment agency, I think they're more, the developers are more interested in the proposal that we're in motion determining these routes. And I can't see where it'd be a great conflict for redevelopment at all.
Redevelopment in Sacramento would continue for another decade, facing numerous challenges and hurdles along the way. But back in 1959, City officials and community leaders were more than pleased with the progress to that point.
Redevelopment in Sacramento has had a very fine effect, particularly in regards to crime, health, and fire protection. There's no doubt that with redevelopment, we will have a reduction in the incidence of crime in the entire city of Sacramento. Definitely. Fire tragedies will be eliminated, and the city will have a great benefit from this wonderful project. Overall, it's very reasonable to think that the people of Sacramento will be more than repaid by redevelopment.
We are currently in the process of converting a slum and blighted area into a valuable new integral part of our downtown. In the background you can see construction underway on this $6.5 million office building. Across the street, the first section of what will be several hundred new apartments is well advanced. Negotiations are underway and architectural studies are also well advanced for other major developments. We are fortunate in having available to us some of the leading architectural talents of the nation, all devoted to the objective of providing a healthier and sounder base for our future and healthier growth.
This is Sacramento's West End, a section of the city rich in history, but decayed by the passage of time. Much of the old city is gone now, cleared away by the massive clearing effort by the Sacramento Redevelopment Agency. KCRA News has been following this story since the first brick in the first building was toppled in 1957. And we shall continue to follow this story until the day comes when Sacramento's West End is the pride of the city.
Soon a new mall development will join Macy's on K Street. A Capitol Mall extending to the river, restoration of the historic Embarcadero, and a new freeway cutting through 2nd Street, now infested with human blight. Sacramento's face is changing, and not in the West End alone. On virtually every block, years of progress are evident. Soon a freeway through the city center, linking Reno with San Francisco and Los Angeles. As the work moves toward the day in 1967 when the freeway complex will be completed, KCRA News continues to report the progress on behalf of motorists.
All of these stories deserve the special consideration that we hope to be able to give them. In addition, there are the day-to-day stories, the fires, the speeches, and others of continued merit we hope to be able to cover and bring to you in the weeks and months to come on KCRA News.